Hi everyone, Nathany Baitiano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of the new Adele record, 30. This is a brand new LP from UK songwriter and vocalist Adele, who is just on her fourth full-length LP now, which I think is pretty significant considering that she hit us with her full-length debut way back in 2008. And personally, she's undergone a lot of change over that course of time. Look no further than early cuts like First Love, and then fast forward to the fact that 30 is essentially a divorce record, detailing the emotional turmoil of her recent separation from Simon Konecki. Now, 30 is far from the first breakup record or divorce record out there on the market for sure, but when one of the greatest voices of this generation is working that angle on a new LP, it's still cause for commotion. And even without that narrative, Adele gets people in their feelings pretty quickly, so I imagine that's going to be even more so the case for 30. That's certainly what I was expecting, especially considering the elegance, beauty, and emotional intensity of the first teaser to this thing, Easy on Me, which showed a lot of power in simplicity with just the vocals and the piano taking center stage, of course, but you don't need much else when your voice is that good. I also love the lyrics on this track too. They come across super detailed without reading as cluttered or just like stammering to get a bunch of stuff out. There's a genuine anguish and regret in Adele's words over how things played out, making mention of these two people being stuck in their ways, having good intentions, but at this point, that not even showing or, being apparent. Reading into this track is pretty interesting because for a song that's about separation, it doesn't really come across as bitter toward the other person or angry, more just disappointed at the circumstances of the situation. Overall, I thought it was a gorgeous track, a great first taste of this LP, but listening to the rest of the project, it's very apparent that Adele isn't just making this for our entertainment, but also for herself too. And when I say that, I mean, it's like she's kind of using this album or the process of making this album to sort of figure this whole situation out and make heads or tails of it. See it as creativity as therapy in a way, because there's a lot of self-assurance on this project, a lot of self-affirmation, indulgence as well, and this leads to a lot of interesting but also difficult moments. Like My Little Love, for example, which I read as more of a meditation than a song, as Adele weaves beautiful vocal passages between beds of strings and audio diaries of her talking through the recent changes that are going on in her life, not just by herself, but with her son too, which in a way does make the track a little padded out, structurally kind of lopsided, but I do have to admit it does bring a certain emotional intensity to the whole thing. Then there's also Cry Your Heart Out, which I saw as one of the strangest instrumental combos on the entire thing. You have the soul-inspired lead vocals, background harmonies that read as something that's kind of lifted from a vintage girl group record, very rich piano chords as well, and a laid-back beat that for the whole first leg of the track seems to be kind of flirting with a reggae thing, but then around the midpoint, it goes like full throttle into that direction. Each element of the track respectively sounds pretty good, but whether or not it comes together in a way that is cohesive, I don't know. After listening to it multiple times, I have to say no. In my opinion, these are some kind of odd tracks to kick the first leg of your record off with, but thankfully things get a bit more sensible around the midpoint. There's Oh My God, which I thought was a pretty solid Adele cut, one of her better cuts in a while pop-wise. The driving beats and the interesting background vocal chops are pretty great. Chilly pre-chorus, fiery hook, the whole thing builds up in this classic gradual rollin' in the deep type structure. Though the song Can I Get It doesn't have nearly as much consistency or follow-through, the whole thing starts as an acoustic cut with Adele singing very dramatically about begging, borrowing, stealing, and dangerous roads. Figuratively, of course. For the first portion, it has the makings of a great country crossover, but I couldn't have imagined a worse transition into the hook. We suddenly get this plucky, royalty-free set of guitar chords, then a rap beat looped, and a soaring whistle over the chorus like it's a goddamn Peter, Bjorn, and John song. Why did this happen? It had so much promise and ended up in somewhat of a goofy spot. Like, this instrumental doesn't really reflect the elegance that I typically expect from an Adele record. Though I thought the track I Drink Wine was a massive improvement instrumentally and vocally, much more what I was expecting from this LP overall. It's a soulful ballad with a great vocal performance, fantastic and tasteful instrumentation, and a lot of lyrics that see Adele pondering on what has brought her to this point. How can one become so bounded by choices that somebody else makes? How come we've both become a version of a person we don't even like? There's a lot of aspirations on this track as well for Adele to kind of get over herself and stop trying to be somebody else or something for another person that she feels kind of unnatural acting as, like an imposter. It's an assuring song for sure, and the kind of gospel undertones within the style of the track I think helps a lot, as there's something somewhat spiritual about this journey that she's on here. The all-night parking interlude with all of the Errol Garner jazz piano samples throughout it I thought was okay. Kind of a flirty, playful, jazzy oasis in the midst of the track list to kind of give the audience a breather before Adele hits us with some of the emotionally heaviest cuts on the entire project on the last leg. And yes, for the last several tracks, Adele really pulls out the lengthy cuts, the big emotional guns, a lot of moments running over 6 minutes in length, and emotionally these cuts are very frank, they are very intense, and they're very unfiltered, which is also the case for some of the instrumentation here, like on Hold On. Adele's voice on this one sounds so damn raw, and the instrumentation just sounds like it was just captured live. The drummer and the bassist lock in a killer groove. The crescendo, the string crescendo that elevates with Adele's voice on the chorus could not sound, I guess, just more in the moment, more lightning in a bottle. Even the background vocalists don't sound super touched up, and that is certainly refreshing, because again, the whole thing just sounds like this really amazing natural swell of instrumentation in the midst of a live performance. There's so much unfiltered raw talent on this track vocally and instrumentally. When that chorus, when that rush of instrumentation hits, it's this amazing emotional burst, this feeling of, I guess, emotional pain, but also catharsis. So yeah, again, while this track is 6 minutes, it does have a somewhat patient progression. There is a massive payoff to it too. To Be Loved was another high-definition piano ballad with Adele's voice sounding pristine. The piano comes off so rich, it's like I'm sitting on top of it. The lyrics on this one are very much about moving on and owning past mistakes, talking about how she needs a change and she can't continue living a lie. It's a serious tearjerker that comes to an incredible finish. Like when she hits those high notes and really pushes the volume as she's singing Let It Be Known That I Tried. Like at this moment on the track, I feel like Adele is sort of flirting with Whitney Houston levels of vocal Super Saiyan power. Then the finisher, Love is a Game, is a very theatrical commentary on love itself. Love is a game for fools to play aesthetically and instrumentally. It is kind of a throwback soul cut with some kind of silly girl group vocals popping up here and there. For the tone of this record, for the music that inspires it, and also, what typically plays to Adele's strengths, I don't think she could have ended the record off better here, because this sound is just so in her wheelhouse. It's clearly what has helped her develop her sound and her voice over the years, and given the emotional pain and strife of the storytelling on this project, I think there is like a really great sense of, I need to go back to these sounds and these vibes and these feelings that are very familiar and comforting to me. Like, I need this to hold on to give myself some sense of stability in the midst of all of this. So again, sonically and narratively, I think it closes things up on this record really nicely, and I couldn't imagine a better way for Adele to end this project, end this narrative, and end this chapter of her career. So overall, I enjoyed 30 quite a bit. It's a classy record, it's a moving record, it's a beautifully recorded recorded and produced record. It does have some weird, ill-conceived moments, which I usually find to be the case for most Adele projects. And like, I get it, you want to experiment, you want to at least on occasion play to some modern pop sensibilities, and also you don't want your record to just sound really one-dimensional or just very samey across the whole thing. By that same token, I'm not going to come on here and tell you that Cry Your Heart Out or Can I Get It went over all that well, when that's not how I feel. But for sure, 30 is a solid and very moving record from one of the most powerful and significant voices in modern music out there. I'm feeling a light to decent 7 on this one. Transition, have you given this album a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, Adele, forever.